We live in a world obsessed with words. We say, "I love you," as if those 3 syllables could capture the infinite. We write love letters, send heartfelt messages, pour our emotions into language. And yet, how often do these words feel hollow? How often do they fail to carry the weight of what we truly feel? The problem is not that words are meaningless. The problem is that we have forgotten the deeper language of love, the language that needs no translation, requires no vocabulary, and speaks directly from being to being. True love, you see, is not something you say, it is something you are. Consider this. A mother does not need to tell her newborn child, "I love you," for that love to be felt. The infant knows it in the warmth of her touch, the gentleness of her gaze, the rhythm of her heartbeat. Long before language develops, love is already there, complete, perfect, wordless. This is the original language of love. And somehow, as we grow older, we forget it. We become convinced that love must be spoken to be real, that feelings must be articulated to be valid. But this is like saying the sun must announce itself to give light, or the ocean must declare its wetness to be truly wet. Love, in its purest form, is not a message, it is a presence. Now, what does it mean to express love without words? It begins with understanding that love is not something you do, it is something you become. When you are truly loving, every gesture becomes an expression of that love. Every glance, every movement, every moment of attention carries the essence of what you feel. Watch how a grandmother looks at her grandchild. There is something in that gaze that needs no explanation. It is soft, it is complete, it is unconditional. The love is not in what she says, but in how she sees. Her eyes hold the child as surely as her arms do. This is presence. This is attention. This is love made visible. But here is where most people go wrong. They think that expressing love without words means dramatic gestures, grand displays, expensive gifts. They believe it requires action, doing something to prove their love. But this is still thinking in terms of words, just translated into deeds. It is still trying to send a message rather than simply being present. True wordless love is far more subtle. It is in the quality of your listening when someone speaks to you. Not waiting for your turn to talk, not preparing your response, but being completely there with them in that moment. When you listen with your whole being, the person feels heard in a way that goes beyond comprehension. They feel met, they feel seen, they feel loved. It is in the way you handle someone's belongings with care, as if they were sacred, not because the objects matter, but because they belong to someone who matters to you. I once knew a man who never said much, but his wife of 40 years would light up whenever he entered a room. Why? Because when he looked at her, he really saw her. Not what she was doing, not what she could give him, not her function or role, but her, the essence of who she was. And in that seeing, love was communicated more clearly than 1,000 declarations ever could. This is the power of authentic attention. When you give someone your complete attention, you are giving them the most precious thing you have, your presence. And presence is love made tangible. But let us go deeper. How do you cultivate this wordless expression of love? It begins with understanding what love actually is. Love is not a feeling, though feelings may accompany it. Love is not an emotion, though it may stir emotions. Love, at its core, is recognition. It is the recognition of the life, the being, the essence that exists in another. When you truly recognize someone, not their personality, not their achievements, not their usefulness to you, but their fundamental being, love arises naturally. And this recognition needs no words because it happens at a level deeper than language. Think of it this way. When you see a beautiful sunset, you do not need to tell the sunset how beautiful it is for your appreciation to be real. Your appreciation exists in the quality of your attention, in the way you pause, in the way you allow yourself to be touched by the beauty. The sunset knows it is appreciated through your presence, your openness, your willingness to be moved. So it is with people. When you truly see someone, when you recognize their beauty, their struggle, their humanity. They feel it. They feel seen. They feel valued. They feel loved. And this happens through the quality of your presence, not through your words. But here is what makes this difficult in our modern world. We have become afraid of silence. We fill every moment with noise, with chatter, with distraction. We are uncomfortable with the quiet spaces where wordless love can emerge. We think that if we are not saying something, we are not doing enough. This is a profound misunderstanding. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is simply be present without trying to fix, without trying to advise, without trying to make something happen. Just being there, fully there, with someone in their joy or their sorrow. Consider how animals express love. A cat does not meow, "I love you," to its human. Instead, it purrs, it brings presence, it chooses to be near you. It expresses love through proximity, through the gift of its presence, through the simple act of being comfortable enough to fall asleep beside you. Dogs are masters of wordless love. They greet you as if you are the most important being in the universe. They pay attention to your every movement, your every gesture. They mirror your emotions, celebrate your joy, comfort your sadness. They love not through words, but through their entire being. And somehow, we never doubt that these animals love us, even though they say nothing. Why? Because we feel it. We recognize authentic love when it is expressed through presence, through attention, through being. Now, humans have something even more refined than animals, the capacity for conscious presence. We can choose to be fully present. We can choose to give our complete attention. We can choose to see another person with clarity and compassion. When you look at someone you love, really look at them with no agenda, no expectation, no desire to change them or get something from them. Something magical happens. They feel seen in their totality. They feel accepted. They feel loved. This is not about staring, which can feel invasive. This is about gentle, open awareness. It is the way you might watch a flower opening or clouds moving across the sky. Appreciative, patient, present, but wordless love extends beyond just presence and attention. It lives in the 1,000 small acts that make up daily life. It is in the way you prepare food for someone with care, with attention to what they enjoy, with the desire to nourish rather than just to feed. It is in the way you touch someone, not possessively, not demandingly, but with gentleness and respect. A hand on a shoulder that says, "I am here." A brief touch of fingers that says you are not alone. A hug that has no agenda except to offer comfort and connection. Touch, when it comes from love rather than need, speaks a language that words cannot match. It is direct, immediate, honest. The body cannot lie in the way that words can. A loving touch feels different from a possessive touch, a needy touch, a manipulative touch. The quality of love is transmitted through the quality of contact. There is also the love expressed through space and silence, knowing when to step back, when to give someone room to breathe, to feel, to be. Sometimes love means not trying to fill the silence with solutions or comfort, but simply holding space for whatever someone is experiencing. I have known couples who could sit together for hours without speaking, and the love between them was palpable. They had learned to be together without needing to perform, without needing to entertain each other or fill the quiet. They could simply exist in each other's company, and that shared existence was itself an expression of love. This is tremendously healing for people who live in a world that constantly demands performance, achievement, doing. To be with someone who does not need you to be anything other than what you are in this moment, that is a gift beyond measure. But perhaps the most profound way to express love without words is through what I call energetic generosity. This is the willingness to approach others with an open heart, to assume the best rather than the worst, to offer kindness without being asked. It might be as simple as letting someone merge in traffic without honking, or holding a door open with genuine pleasure rather than obligation. It is approaching the checkout clerk with friendliness rather than impatience, treating them as a human being rather than a function. When you move through the world with this kind of energetic generosity, you are expressing love on a universal scale. You are saying, without words, I recognize your humanity, I honor your struggle, I wish you well. Now, some might ask, but how will people know I love them if I don't say it? This question reveals a fundamental misunderstanding. It assumes that people are deaf to the deeper languages of love, that they cannot feel what is real. But think about your own experience. Have you ever been with someone who said all the right words, but whose presence felt cold, distant, or self-serving? Did their words convince you of their love? Conversely, have you ever been with someone who never spoke of love directly, but in whose presence you felt completely accepted, valued, and cherished? People know, they feel the difference between authentic love and performed love. They sense when presence is genuine and when it is forced. They can tell when attention is given freely and when it comes with conditions. The beautiful paradox is this: when you stop trying to express love and simply become more loving, love expresses itself naturally through everything you do. Your love becomes visible in the way you walk, the way you listen, the way you handle difficulties, the way you treat strangers. It becomes a quality of your being rather than an action you take. And this kind of love is far more powerful than words because it is consistent, it is authentic, and it touches people at a level deeper than the mind. This does not mean that words have no place in love. There are times when words are needed, when clarity requires language, when I love you becomes not a performance but a simple statement of truth. But these words have power only when they arise from the same source as wordless love, from genuine recognition, authentic presence, and an open heart. When words come from this place, they land differently. They feel true because they are true. They resonate because they match the quality of presence that the person has already been feeling from you. In our modern world, we have become consumers of love, always looking for proof, always needing reassurance, always wanting more evidence that we are cared for. But when you learn to express love without words, through presence, through attention, through the quality of your being, you discover that love is not something you need to get, but something you have to give. And in the giving, in the expressing, in the simple act of being genuinely present with another person, you discover that love is not depleted but multiplied. The more you give, the more you have. The more present you become, the more alive you feel. So how do you express love without words? You become love. You embody presence. You offer your attention as a gift. You see people not as they should be, but as they are. You touch gently, listen deeply, and hold space generously. You move through the world with an open heart, recognizing that everyone you meet is fighting battles you know nothing about, carrying burdens you cannot see, longing for the same basic recognition and acceptance that you yourself seek. And in that recognition, in that presence, in that simple willingness to be authentically yourself with another human being, love expresses itself more eloquently than any words ever could. This is the language that needs no translation. This is the communication that crosses all barriers. This is love made visible, love made real, love expressed in the most profound way possible through the simple miracle of one conscious being truly meeting another. Words may fade, but presence endures. Declarations may be forgotten, but the feeling of being truly seen, truly met, truly loved, that lives on forever in the heart. And perhaps this is the ultimate secret. Love expressed without words is not about doing something different, but about being someone different. When you become more present, more aware, more genuinely yourself, love expresses itself naturally through everything you are and everything you do. You do not need to learn a new language. You need only to remember the language you were born, knowing the language of presence, of recognition, of being. In that remembering, love finds its truest expression, and the world becomes a little more beautiful for everyone you touch with your authentic being.